Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Today is November 15th, 2024, and I am glad you are here. Next week, Congress is scheduled to vote on the Senator Elizabeth Dole 21st Century Veterans Healthcare and Benefits Improvement Act. HR, that's House of Representatives, 8371. It's shortened up to be called the Dole Act. Now, I'm going to read to you a little bit here, and then we'll jump into it. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend. All of that helps push the word out. If you already know about the Dole Act and you support it, reach out to your congressional members. Let them know that you support this and that you are in optimism that they will be signing it as well. For those that don't know, let's read into this a little bit. Hit the thumbs up, like I said. It really does help the channel. If you're not a member, consider joining. I really do appreciate the support. All right. So the Dole Act would help the Department of Veterans Affairs improve the delivery of services for mental health, long-term care, suicide prevention, educational assistance, and homelessness, prioritizing veterans, caregivers, and their families. This bill is the result of months of work and negotiations by members of Congress from both parties, along with significant input from veteran service organizations, all around, right? All of them. You name them. They've all been involved with this. If passed, it'll be life-changing for veterans and their family members nationwide. So with that, again, it's HR, House of Representatives, 8371. Now, this is happening next week. The vote is supposed to be happening next week. And what I'm going to do, I kind of went back in time here and I pulled up a press release from the House Committee on Veterans Affairs. Okay, this is back in May of 2024, talking about the Dole Act. So I'm going to go through this as a refresher for you. 40 plus organizations at that time, May 24, 2024. 40 plus organizations agree veterans and their families need the bipartisan Dole Act. Last week, House and Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs leaders, Chairman Mike Bose, Chairman John Tester, and Ranking Member Jerry Moran unveiled H.R. 8371. The Senator Elizabeth Dole 21st Century Veterans Healthcare and Benefits Improvement Act, or simply the Dole Act. And again, it's H.R. 8371. Reach out to your congressional members, pick up the phone, give them a call, and let them know that you support it. And look, if you really do, then hey, you do it, your spouse does it, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your kids, all of that stuff. The more phone calls, the more tallies, if you will. All right. This legislation includes a number of bipartisan and other proposals to reform and improve the delivery of healthcare benefits and services at the Department of Veterans Affairs for veterans, their families, and their survivors. To learn more about the Senator Elizabeth Dole 21st Century Veterans Healthcare and Benefits Improvement Act, you can definitely Google search it, but I'm going to read through some of this here. The Dole Act, because that's easier, is supported by a growing list of organizations, including over 20 veteran service organizations, major homeless prevention organizations, education training providers, elderly care advocacy organizations, private companies, and more. For a comprehensive list, you can go to the House Committee on Veterans Affairs and search the Dole Act, and you should be able to find it with a hyperlink there. Leading veteran service organizations released the following statements in support of the Dole Act. On behalf of our 1.5 members, the American Legion is proud to support the Dole Act. These legislative improvements will initiate many important and needed changes in the delivery of care and services to our nation's veterans. We look forward to working with Congress to make the provisional programs in the legislation permanent. Next one, DAV strongly supports the many vital improvement provisions in the Senator Elizabeth Dole 21st Century Veterans Healthcare and Benefits Improvement Act. Forgot to say Dole Act on that one. To strengthen benefits and health care for veterans, their families, caregivers, and survivors. Notably, this bill would expand access to a variety of VA home and community-based services to allow severely ill and aging veterans additional options to remain in their homes and communities for as long as possible. That is a big one. None of us are really getting much healthier you might short term, right? But 15 years from now, 20 years from now, typically it's going to start to decline. None of us for sure are getting any younger. We're all aging. And this is a very, very important piece of legislation with that regard. So let's continue on with the quotation here from the National Commander of Disabled American Veterans, DAV. We hope that as the legislation moves forward, the House and Senate will continue to make improvements and clarifications to help avoid unintended negative consequences. We greatly appreciate the efforts of the House and Senate Veterans Affairs committees in bringing forth this legislation and look forward to working with them to address any remaining concerns and quickly enact this important bill into law. The Veterans of Foreign Wars, the VFW, supports the policies of the comprehensive Dole Act, said Pat Murray, director of VFW's National Legislative Service. Many provisions in this bill will improve care and benefits for veterans and survivors, and we believe some provisions would save lives. Certain components of this bill, such as the expansion for caregivers, is long overdue. PVA, Paralyzed Veterans of America, great organization, strongly supports the Dole Act, which incorporates important provisions of the Elizabeth Dole Home Care Act, the Expanding Veterans Options for Long-Term Care Act, and protects access to the VA spinal cord injury and disorders system of care. Currently, VA lacks the necessary infrastructure to provide long-term care to an ever-increasing number of aging and catastrophically disabled veterans. Increasing the amount VA can pay for home-based care, as well as allowing more veterans to receive treatment in their homes, is the most logical and expedited way to address this crisis. Testing VA's ability to pay for care in assisted living facilities also provides an additional option for disabled veterans and their families. We appreciate efforts to ensure that any implementation of the value-based care system within the VA will not result in a degradation of the spinal cord injury care that paralyzed veterans receive. We call on Congress to pass this legislation as quickly as possible. What a fantastic organization PVA is. I have always had great interactions with anybody that is either a member or in some sort of a leadership role there. Moving on, Wounded Warrior Project is pleased to support the Dole Act. The Wounded Warrior Vice President of Government and Community Relations, Jose Ramos, says, "We thank members on the House Committee of Veterans Affairs for their tireless work in forging a bill that includes priorities for both parties and sets a clear path for the Department of Veterans Affairs to better serve wounded warriors. This legislation will improve veterans' access to critical mental health residential rehabilitation treatment programs, increase options for long-term care, and provide enhanced support for our country's unsung heroes, caregivers who dedicated their lives to looking after their veterans at home. Passing this legislation is a top priority for the Wounded Warrior Project, and we call on Congress to pass this life-changing bill and affirm our country's promise to take care of our wounded warriors after service." AMVETS. This one is also a great organization, been around for a very long time. AMVET supports key components of the long-awaited Dole Act. This veterans package has the potential to address many issues critical to veterans across the country, and we are hopeful that ongoing conversations surrounding its content lead to meaningful legislation that propels modernization, improves access to care, and helps better the lives of those who served. All right, there's several more. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm going to stop there. If you support the Dole Act, you should be reaching out to your congressional member now. Shoot them an email. You can go on their website, send them an email through their system there. You can make a phone call and leave a message if nobody answers, saying that you support the Dole Act and you want to make sure that the Congress member understands that. You can stop by in person. They have staffers there all the time. You can knock on the door if depending on where you live, sometimes they have the door locked and you got to knock and, secret password thing. But most of the time in most locations, the door will be open. You walk in, there's a little, kiosk-y thing. A staffer comes up and you can ask for maybe, hey, is the person who handles Veterans Affairs here? And then they'll come up and then you can let them know. And if not, you can just say, hey, look, I'm veteran so-and-so, and I just want to make sure that the Congress member, whoever, understands how important this is, and I hope that we can see a yes vote, right? Imagine for one moment if 500 people walked through the door, 1,000 people walked through the door of all of these, or called, or left a voicemail, or sent an email, or what have you. It's how you affect change, right? So anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.